Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We bring you stories of faith, love, and devotion. Yeah, just kidding, please help us grow by hitting that like button. Now on to the story. The Question Mark Man. Venting. About 10 years ago my ex-wife had an affair while I was at work. We lived in a small apartment with cheap walls. Our neighbor of 2 years was a sweet older lady whose grandson will stay over some weekends. Me and her exchange numbers because I would help her with the groceries and car trouble. As a newlywed, me and my wife would play WWE SmackDown in the bedroom very late sometimes. The neighbor would sometimes text me pleading for us to keep the rock bottoms and stone cold stunners to a minimum. This went on for months with a text from my neighbor at least 3 times a month. She was happy that we were enjoying our marriage, and was embarrassed to text me and my wife, but when she put her grandson to bed, putting him back to sleep was a pain. Eventually we scheduled our WWE nights around her grandson's sleep schedule. She was a sweet neighbor so I didn't mind. A few months went by with no issues. One night I went to work, weekdays night shift, my neighbor texted me asking for us to keep it down. I was confused and called my ex-wife, no answer. Text her to call me ASAP, no reply. I actually had a camera, my ex-wife knew, set up in the living room to watch the cats. When I connected, it was dark but sure enough you can hear everything going on in the other room. I worked 40 minutes away and was about to leave. When I got to my car, still connected to the camera, the noise stopped and a few minutes later a tall dark silhouette of a man power walks out the room and leaves. My wife turns on the lights and goes straight to the bathroom. I had everything I needed so I stayed and finished my shift. It was a long shift, and I actually spent most of it in the restroom sorting out my thoughts. When I got home I confronted my ex-wife and she swore on everything the neighbor was lying. I showed her the video of the mystery man leaving. Her face turned pale but she never gave me a name. I was crushed that she would protect this man. It's been years now and after our divorce I've broken all contact, but I still wonder who he is. Who is the Question Mark Man? TLDR, ex-wife had an affair and never gave me a name. I saw the man leaving my home but it was dark. It was someone you know, someone at least have met before if she would have told you I am guess you would have confronted him, and he was probably married, that's my guess. Yeah. My circle was small back then and none of my friends fit the silhouette or hairstyle. So probably married. Don't waste any more time on something you can't change. If you did know who he was, would it change the outcome? Or change how you are living today? We all want answers. You can play detective and waste your time and maybe you will find out, time is too precious to waste. Likely someone you at least know of. Client got his name halfway into the D. It was their kid's piano teacher. Several weeks later the piano man awakens next to his car in a busy parking lot. When he went to get his key, the pain shot up his arms like explosives. Both hands had been smashed. Worse, his physicians said or was likely they were worked over with a hammer. At the next discovery WW appears very frightened. She asks if he had anything to do with the piano man's incapacity. He laughs and says, I would never do something like that, I would pay someone. She capitulated on the divorce and moved. Piano teacher spent a long time in psychiatric hospitals. Lost everything. Heard he became an alcoholic. Finally, someone with the cojones to actually do something about a cheating 304 of the wife and her AP. I understand. I knew and was friends with my wife's AP. I am not allowed to know the what, how, when, and where. I know it wouldn't change anything but for the sake of closure it would be nice to know where my gut was correct. I think because it was a friend my ex-wife is also trying to protect our mutual friend group because they were the ones covering for her and him. Most of them have told on themselves by trying to defend indefensible positions. Crazy. And closure does help. I don't know why some people can't understand this. Those so-called friends and family members just can't comprehend how destructive adultery is, until they are subjected to it themselves. He is probably among your or her family members/relatives and someone you would never think of. The video can be edited to become brighter and you could maybe recognize the guy. You're right, but it's on a hard drive somewhere in storage. Might find it and check it out. It might cost some dollar. Make a copy. You can find people outside North America who post on freelance websites and their prices are usually much lower than someone in more advanced countries. From what I hear, probably with about $10-20 you can do it. It's quite easy, and if you have the softwares, it does not take much time for the person to do it. They essentially just know which combination of keys and settings to click and play with until it gets bright enough to recognize that person. Outsource it to some of these people and you will get your answer. But before doing that, make sure you are ready for the answer no matter what it is. That's the most important part. He's the man who ruined your marriage. Other than that, what does it matter? It doesn't matter much anymore, but closure helps. Think of going through life and running across someone whose physical build triggers those emotions. It could be hard, you know. Story 2. My wife is dead. The best Christmas present I could have gotten. At the beginning of 2022, I caught my wife having an affair with one of her exes. Our marriage wasn't perfect, I was not the perfect husband, I will admit. But, I did my best. I put effort into the entire 5 years we were together. I put my all into the relationship. I could not say the same. I was forced to confront the reality of who she truly was shortly after I caught her. She illegally evicted me from our shared home, lied to the police to try and get me arrested, tried to get me fired from my job, and tried to turn all of my friends against me. Some of these succeeded, while others did not. She has made my life a living hell since the day I asked her for the divorce and has planted her heels into the ground over our separation to try and drain all my finances and emotional strength from me. The only upside is we had no kids for her to use as weapons, but I soon found out that her policy of strict birth control with me did not extend to her suitor, as he got her pregnant 5 months ago. I thought maybe this would help speed along the divorce, but it only rallied her in her efforts to destroy me. On Christmas Eve, my wife and her suitor went to a party where both of them got drunk. I find this fact terrible, as all her friends knew she was pregnant as well. Her suitor drove them home, a mistake that would cost them both their lives. In the state I live in, our divorce is now considered to never have even started. I will be able to claim her life insurance policy for myself and move back into my home. Her parents called me up distraught yesterday, acting as if the last year had never happened, and offered their full support to my funeral preparations for her. My confusion here was beyond belief, but the apple doesn't fall far from the tree when it comes to my wife. I told them if they wanted a funeral, it was coming out of their pockets. I will pay for her to be cremated, and deliver her ashes to them in the cheapest turn offered if they desire. They called me horribly and tried to guilt me about her life insurance, but after only 4 minutes on the phone with them, I hung up and blocked every one of her family's numbers. I'm going to be taking a few extra days off work to move back into my house over the next week. I've already made arrangements to have her stuff hauled off, so my home will be an empty canvas to start my life anew. I don't know if there is a God, or if this was just karma, but I truly believe now that I have come out on the other side of the storm. Update. I have decided to elaborate on a few common threads I see in this post here, as responding to all the comments would be too much. Firstly, some are judging me for the way I am reacting to the death of 3 people. You're right, it is not normal nor is it healthy. I feel no emotions toward my ex at this moment. All my hatred, resentment, and regret evaporated when I learned of her death. I feel nothing but relief right now. This void has slowly consumed me over the past few days. I feel numb. Like I'm dreaming. Like what happened is not real. This woman made my life a living hell for over a year. She set out to destroy me, and would not stop until she did. I do not like the fact that I feel this way over the death of 3 people, but that is not a box I feel ready to unpack at this moment. Secondly, I have reached out to my ex's mom today and things are much more civil as of now. I'll pay the hauling company to move her stuff into one of their storage units and they can figure out the rest. Her mother revealed to me that they cannot afford to host a funeral for my ex. I am 100% the legal beneficiary of her life insurance. Despite my past hatred for her family, I told her mother I will give them a small amount from her life insurance so they can have a service and arrange burial logistics for her. This is contingent on us cutting ties after, and I will not be involved any further in her funeral. I will still be talking to a lawyer. Lastly, I am not going to elaborate any further except the only lives lost were hers, her suitor, and their unborn child. Some are saying I should sell the house. Right now, I only want to return to my home. The details of where I end up, either there or somewhere over the rainbow, are yet to be determined. I do not know what life holds for me, or for any of us. This event happened, maybe for a reason, or maybe the universe has no logic at all. This gift put an end to a period of my life that sent me to the brink of destruction. It's morbid to think that the death of 3 people was what pulled me to the other side alive. It's interesting how quick it can all change or end. I really hope they were the only ones involved in the accident. Selfish assholes it sounds like. Same. Karma's a real bitch, but it is a shame when innocent people are involved in it. If you believe in karma, then you should know that everything happens for a reason and everyone involved in it gets their due karma. Karma is Hindu concept which deals even in afterlife and even previous lives. A baby getting punished might mean karma from last life. That's the concept of karma. Karma is a bitch. No, it's a cat purring in my lap because it loves me. Story 3. New to this. My wife cheated on me repeatedly with different people. Need support. I am 36, been married to my wife for 10 years and have a 6-year son and one on the way. My wife has cheated on me at least once before my 6-year was born, and I just found out about a new affair after she got pregnant again. After our son was born, I was hoping that things would change and tried to leave the past behind. On her first affair, when I confronted her, she just sat there quietly and crying without saying a single word. Years later she told me it was nothing. On the second one, I have seen some old messages from her AP asking her to buy some condoms, lube and stuff. Again silent on confrontation. Unfortunately she was 4 months pregnant when I discovered the messages. I am devastated and even thought of suicide. My life is destroyed and I see no exit. I just want to be happy again. I see no resolution than staying and suffering than losing my child, probably children. I just needed to share this, as I got nobody to talk about this subject with. Many thanks. Please get a DNA test on both kids. Your life is not destroyed, rather you have been given an opportunity to live and get away from this toxic human being, so please take advantage of it. She is emotionally manipulating you and will continue to treat you like this if you talk with her. Fight to get custody, or at most 50-50. Worst thing you can do is suck it up and live the rest of your life in a toxic environment that only hurts you and your kids. You deserve better. I hope you find peace. Thanks for the advice. When I told her about these things, she played the victim role and made me feel guilty. I never cheated on her and work very hard so she won't have to work more than 2 days a week. That's a standard move by cheaters. This is not your fault, my friend. Even cheaters know how awful their actions are and cannot fully take responsibility. This is almost always the case. You need to see a therapist. There is no way to be in a right sense of mind in your own right now, but you have so much to live for. Honestly, just being able to spend your own money seems like it will be a good perk. This woman is not who you think, and she took advantage of you multiple times. You will not get the truth from her, and neither will others in her life. You need to talk to your friends, your family, maybe even her family. air the laundry because as guilty as she is making you feel, that's just a fraction of how she's going to paint you to friends and family. It is important to get your story out because a lie will travel around the world twice before the truth can tie its shoes. I'm not telling you this as a guess, it is almost a certainty. Stay strong, brother. Do not let her take any more of you. And know there is so much more of you in there. Once you start getting out from under the weight of this, you will see so many more facets of yourself. Hold on to strengths and also have awkward conversations with friends and family. It is hard but they will help you. Story 4. I found out my spouse was cheating through my mom. Rant. I'm embarrassed. My husband and I don't live in the same state as my parents. He was in our home state for work and I was already feeling left out and lonely when my mom called to tell me about his visit. She laughingly told me that he had bruises all over his body from wrestling with his coworkers. He's such a guy, she says. My ears start ringing. I can't remember anything else from the conversation. He's a grown-ass man. I know he isn't covered in bruises from another man. I go to his computer and check his social media. Sure enough, he's been messaging another woman and she apologized for the bite marks she left on him. I'm humiliated. I don't want to say anything to my mom because I don't want her to feel bad. An update from last week. Update. Hi friends. This is an update to my original post from a few days ago. I didn't expect my original post to blow up the way that it did and I really appreciate the support I got. I'm not confrontational at all, so I really needed the hype that you all gave me. I think the main thing people are interested in is whether or not my mom was trying to hint at my husband's affair. My mom is the most honest person that I know, and I think the downside to that is that she assumes other people are the same way. So I asked her, and she said that she didn't know they were bite marks. In her defense, I have now seen them and they do just look like bruises on his arms, no teeth marks or anything. I'm relieved to be honest. I don't think that I could take another person I care about lying to me, even if it came from a place of kindness. My husband says they're bruises from wrestling with the girl and not bite marks. I'd quote the truth is, but the distinction doesn't really matter at this point. He also said that when they hooked up she didn't come. Again, a distinction that doesn't matter but the petty part of me wanted to share. Now on to another update. I want to remind everyone that I'm living away from my friends and family. Just under 1,000 miles. So I'm fairly isolated and just leaving him isn't as easy as it sounds. I don't even have my own car. We have one car with both of our names on it. Please keep that in mind because I know I didn't handle everything perfectly. He got home Friday night. I did let him in. I was civil. We didn't talk much because what is there to say? I essentially moved into our backyard. We have a hammock that I love. I brought out a ton of blankets and there's an outlet where I can charge my phone. So my dog and I were spending as much time out there as possible. I also can't hear him yell at video games from out there. So not a long-term solution, but I was genuinely enjoying it. Then on Saturday evening he came into the backyard and asked me to go buy him beer. I said that I didn't feel like leaving but he could go get the beer. We argued but I insisted that I didn't feel like leaving and if he wanted beer he was going to have to go get it. So, he picked up my dog and held her over the fence and said that if I didn't go get the beer he was going to drop her. I looked him in the eye and said that if he dropped my dog I was leaving and never coming back. And then he dropped her. It wasn't a far drop. She was confused but uninjured. I started screaming at him. I can't remember what I said, only what I felt. He started yelling at me about making a scene. That I was embarrassing him. Bothering the neighbors. That I was drunk. I hadn't had anything to drink that day, but the rest was probably true. He said that it was funny and that I knew it was funny and I was just acting out for attention. He finally went back inside. I don't know if he went to get the beer or not. I meant what I said. That night I packed our car as full as I could get it. There are other things I would be sad to lose, but I took the essentials, including my dog, of course, and drove home. I drove through the night. I swear I feel like I could sleep for a week. Beyond drained. I don't think he realizes that I'm serious yet. He seems genuinely confused about what happened. But I know that I'm serious. As dumb as it sounds, I spent a lot of time thinking that if this person was hurting me, he wasn't hurting other people. It's the logic of someone who got married at 20 and had their emotional maturity stunted. I'm staying with my parents. I'm not sure what is going to happen. I don't know what to do about the car. I'm not sure what to do about the rest of my stuff. So that's my update. A lot of uncertainty. What a horrible man. I'm glad you got out of that situation. Please disconnect any utilities that are in your name. Also, change your pins to any credit cards that are in your name. You will have better days. Hugs up. Thank you. I changed all of my passwords, but I need to change my pins and utilities. He gets off on your pain. Him telling you about his AP not coming, lie, plus who asked, him coming into your space to provoke you when he knows you're hurting, him dropping your dog. What a piece of human garbage. Him praying for this scumbag to get his comeuppance. And he will he will. This kind of disgusting, sadistic, cruel behavior will always rub people the wrong way. He's a bully. And the thing is, not everyone is as sweet and morally upstanding as you. One day he will get his, I can bank on it, but whatever. I'm just very happy you left. Just focus on your healing and moving on with your life. People like you are stocks that trade high. You are always in high demand, you are already coming out ahead. I hope you little doggy is doing great too. You can love each other now. Edit. Thank you. That's very kind of you to say. I'm lucky to have a supportive family. So he is a liar and a lousy lover? He is also manipulative and childish. Who tells someone to go get him beer? Or anything? You can do so much better. Haha, that made me laugh. Thank you. I am so glad and so proud of you for dumping him. Everything he did was bad, but hurting your dog? Youth, abuse territory, here we come. I don't know how it is where you live, but as you left your house with the car you share, it may be worth checking with a lawyer what your next move is. Also go to the police to report the animal abuse. They won't do a thing, but it's good to have it on file. I also hope you have a screenshot of everything. In any case, congrats on losing that bag. Oof, that's a good idea. I probably should have gone to the police when it happened. I didn't even think about it. Do it now, even if it's a different state. Say that you got scared and just drove away. It will protect you also if he goes after the car. The first steps always seem to be the ones that leave you with that thick, filmy guilt that seems to cling to everything. Like overly chewed gum in your hair. You did it. The first steps are the toughest, and you did it. Uncertainty will always be there, and that's okay. The what if game will do you no good, so stick with the what's next game. Get the legal stuff sorted, get a lawyer for the shared financial stuff, since I doubt he will be cooperative. Murky muddy footprints still tell a tale of progression. So no matter how dingy, dirty, or nasty it gets, get to putting that foot in front of the other, and progressing to a better you, and a better life. Good luck, you got this. You have a great way of describing things. Thank you. WTH, he was threatening you with your dog. Glad you left before he would escalate with injuring you or the dog for real. Me too. I hate what I've put her through. Definitely was never my intention. We hope that by sharing these stories with interested folks like you, we can help people recognize the signs of a relationship in trouble, and avoid so many of these heartbreaking situations yourselves. Have a good day or night, wherever you are.